Good morning. How are you?
Hey everyone. Guess what? It's Monday, July 5th. You're watching Mindset Mornings. Let's get to it. Hey, we're the monkeys. The people say we'll monkey around. How's everyone doing? It's Monday. Happy Monday.
Get the fuck out of bed, bitch, go. Get up, and then they got go on. Time to wake up, bitch, get up. Get up, get up.
Yeah. It's morning time. I needed that to wake up, guys. I really did. It's my 3-day weekend this week. Yesterday was July 4th, so happy Freedom Day or happy Treason Day or whichever anachronistic view you want to have on this fabulous holiday that celebrates freedom. Yeah, baby. Hope you guys had a great weekend. I certainly did. And when I say great, I mean relaxing. I didn't do too much. I chilled. I kicked back. I slept late. Saturday, I slept till 11:30 a.m., which was phenomenal. So yeah, I had a great weekend. It was really nice, really relaxing. Let me think. I didn't see. Check this shit out. I didn't see or speak to a soul. Well, that's not totally true. I did speak to some people on the phone, but as far as face to face, not a person. And it was glorious. How's everyone doing? How was your weekend? How was your 4th? If you're in the U.S., do you set off any fireworks? Last night, I don't know, this area that I'm living in, they are mental for the 4th. They lost their shit yesterday. I woke up on Sunday morning, and I looked out the window, and suddenly there were flags, like literally everywhere. Like every house, the houses across the street, flags draped everywhere. And then I saw a Jeep Wrangler with the top off, with 2 massive flags hanging off the back. The guy was driving down the street. Yeah, really patriotic or patriotic, whichever way you decide it like. You know what I mean? But that was about it. I didn't go out and see any fireworks. I didn't do anything. I fucking heard the fireworks. Believe me, I really heard them. But I didn't go out and see any. But yeah, they were into it, and it is. I think it is a fun holiday. I know there's lots of it could be contrived, and you could say this and that, and I guess that all that is true. But July 4th it's a really good holiday because for me it celebrates freedom, right? And that's what it's all about, freedom, right? I mean, I'm not a religious person. I know I don't believe in any organized religion. And if you were to ask me, well, if you don't believe in religion, what do you believe in? And the only answer I could give you is freedom. You know? That people can do whatever they want to do, whenever the fuck they want to do it, as long as it's not negatively impacting anyone else. As long, if you want to go, well, I want to go and take a shit on my neighbor's doorstep every day. No, that's probably not cool. You probably don't want to do that. But you know what I mean. Treat everyone with respect. Treat other people as you want to be treated, as every fucking religious book on the planet says, and then everyone who reads it promptly ignores. Be respectful, but it's all about freedom, responsibility for your own life, doing what you want to do. And that's what yesterday symbolized to me. I mean, I'm an immigrant in this country, right? I'm a fucking immigrant here. And this place has been my home for the past 30 years. And I'm getting to the point, no, I've passed the point actually, where I've lived in the United States longer than I lived in the United Kingdom, even though I was born and raised in the UK. I've lived in the U.S. longer than I lived in the UK. And this place is my home, and I love it. And there you go. So fuck that shit, okay?
Come on, don't bullshit me.
No, I'm telling you the truth, I swear.
Absolutely, this time you can count on me.
Let's take a quick... Well, before we do that, I gotta take some coffee. I'm fucking dying here. Because I got today off. Can you believe that shit? So we might go a little longer today. I don't know. We'll see how I feel. We'll see how it goes. But I don't have to hop in a car and drive to work today. Whereas, every other day, I do. So we'll see. Maybe we'll stick around a little longer today. Maybe not. We'll see. We'll play it by ear and see how it goes. We got a great show lined up for you today. Mr. Niall Murphy, Mr. Opaque Lens, will be joining us in about 20 minutes or so, 25 minutes. So we'll be talking to him. Niall is a very cool dude who has been on the Mindset Podcast many times. And he has some unique and interesting perspectives on life and reality and so on. And no doubt we'll get into that. He also has a really cool YouTube channel called Through an Opaque Lens, which we'll talk about also. And we'll get on with that. Let's see who is in the chat. Oh yeah, well this one popped out to me immediately. Hang on, I'm hitting the wrong button. Simon Burrell says, Gareth, could you say in a Welsh accent, land of the free, home of the brave, freedom. Land of the free, home of the brave, freedom. There we go. Hope you like that. Let's see who's in there. Barry Crump this morning jumped on and said, good morning, Gareth. I hope you are now fully recovered from overtaxing yourself with excessively late nights and inadvertently early mornings, and are now full of beans and in sparkling form. Well, yes, Barry, I'm happy to report I am. I'm feeling 1,000 times better. It's amazing what a good night's sleep can do for you. You know how much you can improve your mindset. Let's see, Rick Houghton. I hope I'm saying your name right, man. Howden, is it Howden? He's in the house, and he says, of course,
happy day to you.
There you go. Number one fan. Good morning, Gareth. Andy Young says, hi, Gareth. Hope you and your listeners had a tremendous weekend. I hope so, too. Hope the people listening and watching had a great time. Simon Burrell. Good morning, everybody. Adam George is here. Now, here's a good one. Hey, Tino, how you doing over there? It's Tino. Hey, Gareth, have a great non-walk day. Long live the doctor. Yes, the doctor. Now, it's ZXR Alien Warrior. Or is it ZXR Alien Warrior? I have a feeling it's ZX. Like the ZX Spectrum of the ZX81. You know what I've noticed is like even like computer enthusiasts, because over here they don't say Z, they say Z. But computer enthusiasts over here who are into retro computing, when they talk about like, you know, the Sinclair ZX81 or the ZX Spectrum, they don't say the Sinclair ZX Spectrum or the ZX81. They actually say Z. Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird? They actually say that. They say ZX, not ZX. Which is, I guess, is how it should be, Mr. Spock. Let's see. Luke Griffin says, good morning. Punches says, good vibes. And he says, I need this. I'm assuming Punches is referring to the Mark Ribberlay track that kicked off the show today. Hey, did you guys see Mark's stream yesterday? He did a July 4th stream yesterday morning, I want to say. I didn't see it while it was going on live, but I did catch a little bit of it after the fact. I took a look. Good stuff. Guy's extremely talented. And lots of fun to watch because he's jumping all over the place like a mental case, which is great. Let's see. Hey, look, Steve Wills is here.
Good morning.
There you go. Oh no, Punches is saying it rained most of the day here yesterday. So yesterday in Texas it was raining. Oh, that sucks. I bet that put a damper on your firework display. Gary Newman is in the house, still taking time off from promoting his new album, Intruder. He says, it rained so hard yesterday, I got a new boat. It's yellow, and it's called a skip. Ha, ha, ha. Very funny. Very good. Let's see. Oh, Barry Crump says, does treating others as you wish to be treated also apply to sadists? That's a good one. Good question. Good question.
Absolutely. This time you can count on me.
Punch has caught some of his live. There you go. So I did catch up on some movies and stuff over the weekend. On Friday night, because I didn't do the Friday Night Howl this Friday, and it was a mixed. It was bittersweet. Let me put it that way to you. I did miss doing it, but by the same token, it was kind of nice not to do it, because it was kind of freeing. It felt good, like, not to have to do it. But having said that, I did miss doing it, because doing the Friday Night Howl is always a lot of fun. So on Friday night, what I did was I watched a movie. I just sat down, put telly on, watch film, bloody great, fantastic, and I watched The Tomorrow War with Chris Pratt. And it's amazing how a great idea and or concept, right? Because the concept of the movie, the basic idea, the crux of the movie itself is great, right? It's a really great idea. But the movie itself overall is kind of fucking stupid. It's really dumb, actually. It's very childish, very silly, tons of plot holes. But the action sequences are cool. The fighting and the shooting and all that stuff, that's fun, I guess. But as far as it being a good science fiction film, yeah, it's not. And it really got me thinking, like, is science fiction in movies and TV truly dead? I mean, in the literary world, in novels and stuff, science fiction is fully alive, well, and breathing. But when it comes to actually making movies and TV shows with real science fiction, it's very few and far between. If I honestly can't remember the last time I sat down to watch a science fiction based movie or TV show and came out of it and thought, wow, man, that was amazing. I usually come out like, oh, what the fuck was that? I just pissed away 2 hours of my life watching that nonsense. So I don't know. I really don't know. They never treat it with respect. It's always like the humorous little quip, or we got to throw in an action scene here. Now I know that the Dennis Villeneuve, I can't say his last name, Villeneuve, I think he's remade Dune, and the trailers look phenomenal. And I'm pretty sure that the new version of Dune, is going to be very faithful to the book, and it's going to be incredible, right? It's going to be phenomenal. It's going to be real science fiction. But here's the deal. Here's the deal, folks. Here's the deal. And I'd love to be wrong on this, but I think I might be right. I think the movie will be amazing. If you're a science fiction fan, I think the upcoming Dune movie will be off the charts, amazing. But I also think that it'll be a massive flop. All right? I don't think it's going to do well, because it's going to be real science fiction, and real science fiction requires thought and contemplation and wonder. And as we know, when you're dealing with the average man and woman on planet Earth, those concepts are not only utterly foreign to them, but a bit boring. So we shall see. I just saw that Steve Wills said, have I been watching Loki? Best Marvel TV series to date, in my opinion. Yes, I have been watching Loki. And to be honest, Steve, every week I watch it, I get more and more disappointed. Number one, the show is incredibly woke. It's woke off the charts. And every week they do a little bit more to emasculate and diminish the character of Loki. I don't know if you've noticed that, but every week they're chipping away. Emasculate, diminish. Now, keep in mind that I know we're gonna get all geeky now and talk about fucking this fucking stupid fantasy nonsense, but we can do that for a little bit, I guess. Keep in mind that the Loki that we have in this show supposedly is the same Loki from the first Avengers movie. Now, if you watch the first Avengers movie, the Loki in that movie is evil, conniving, and extremely powerful. There's a scene where he picks up Tony Stark with one hand. Iron Man in his fucking fallout, like, who the fuck are you? The Hulk comes and grabs Loki and just picks him up and whacks him around, like, boom, 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 and Loki just shakes it off like nothing. And now in this new show, you just gotta hit his arm, and he's all So yeah, they're it's very woke. All positions of authority in Loki are female. All the badass fighters in Loki are female. And every week they chip away and diminish his masculinity and his power. But other than that, it's great. But, the premise, I love the premise. Same thing. I mean, a lot of these shows, I love the premise. The premise pulled me in. Like from the Tomorrow War, right? The idea that, 50 years in the future, aliens invade and wipe out mankind, and there's just a handful of people left, and they have to go back through time to get people from the past to go into the future to fight the war. What a great idea. What a great science fiction concept. I love it. But once they start putting it into practice and you see it played out in the movie, it's a fucking shit show. It's a goof. But anyway, what do I know? This is just opinions, If you love the Tomorrow War, good on you. If you love Loki, awesome. Enjoy it, immerse yourself in its wokeness and enjoy it, right? I mean, it is what it is. This is just me being all nitpicky and seeing through the political angles that are foisted upon us by these fucking mega corporations that throw this shit out, hoping that most people won't notice, but it is what it is. Andrew Clark says, don't forget, the Star Trek pilot, The Cage, failed for being too cerebral. You're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. It did. The studio execs at that time saw the pilot with Jeffrey Hunter, The Cage, and said, "Nah, you know what? The average person, they're not going to get this fucking menagerie shit with the zoos and stuff. You got to understand, the people that we're broadcasting to, they're retards. We got to dumb it down to their level." And I guess that's the attitude, But there's a huge segment of the population that is hungry, craving for intellectually stimulating and thought-provoking content in movies and TV. But maybe the audience, while it exists and it's there, maybe it's not big enough for them to make a shit ton of cash to get the money falling out of the sky for them to really go there. I don't know. To me, it seems like science fiction on TV and in movies at the moment is dead. It's over. But I live in hope. Hopefully that will hopefully that'll change, right? Hopefully things will turn around and we'll start getting some smart shit and not this fucking childish retard nonsense that's pumped out every 3 seconds. But we'll see. We shall see. Can you imagine if 2001: A Space Odyssey was made today? Can you imagine? Number one, it probably would never get made. And if it was, it would be so radically changed. Like, Frank Poole and Dave Bowman would probably be women. Hal would be Sal. uh, it would just be so dumbed down, like the monolith thing, and there would be action sequences, there would be fighting and laser battles, and it would be the movie could not be made today. It would, and if it was, it would just be garbage. You know, and when you look at it, it's one of the greatest science fiction movies ever made. I mean, I remember being a kid watching that movie on TV with my dad and being completely confused and bewildered by it, but also completely fascinated and hypnotized. I couldn't take my eyes off it. I didn't understand half the shit that was happening, but I was like, and it planted a seed in my head that I wanted to learn more. I wanted to try and understand what this movie was about, you know? Now it's one of my favorite all-time movies. So it's so sad. Yeah, Andrew Clark is right. He says it wouldn't even get off the drawing board. And you're probably completely right. They well, we have to change that to the Race Odyssey. Yeah, that's right. We have to change certain things. Oh, this is classic. This is a great one. 2001, A Space Oddly Woke. But there'd be so much changed in that movie that it would be almost unrecognizable. You wouldn't. It would be a 100% different movie, just with just a very thin thread that tied it to the original. I don't know, man. We're going through some very dark times as far as culture. You know, believing in nonsense and lies and stupidity. Everyone getting wrapped up in crazy bullshit. I mean, it will end. We will get back to normal. There's no question. We absolutely will get back to normal. The only question is when, right? A year? 5 years? 20 years? 100 years? 1,000 years? You know? We will get back to our normal deal. But when will that happen? I just don't know. I can't say when. You know? I think what someone wrote, I forget who this was, but I read this like maybe a year or two ago, where all civilizations go through this. You know, the Greeks went through it, the Romans went through it, where they get to the point where everything is very open and free, and you know, the gay rights and the women and all this stuff, everything changes, you know, and they think they're very bohemian and very intellectual and very forward thinking, and it's when this usually happens. What they were speculating on is that this is the beginning of the end. It's the end of that particular civilization, and it was true for the Greeks. You know, this kicked in towards the end of the Greeks, towards the end of the Roman Empire. This kicked in. So it might be that we're in the beginning stages of the end of Western civilization, because we're going down this path, this cycle that humanity goes through. You know, but now when I say the end of Western civilization, I mean that sounds horrible. It sounds like, oh my God, right? It sounds terrible. But it could be the end of Western civilization, but it could be replaced by something better. Or worse. You know, there's no real way of telling, but we will get back to normal. There's no question. This fantasy that's being foisted upon us now, this fantasy that's trying to push to tell us it's real, it will go away and it will end. 100%. There's no question. It absolutely will end. The only question is when. That's the question. All right, let me check. Let's see if Nyle Murphy is floating around so we can get him going and get him on here with us. Let's see. There he is. Let me say there. There we go. He's just texted back to me. He said he's just making some coffee, which is good. So while he makes his cup of coffee, let me go look at the. Let's see. Andrew Clark says, how much does a Greek earn? Not as much as economy, but bust due to the plate smashing. Boom, boom, boom. Someone's been watching Morecambe and Wise. Wasn't that a joke they did? How much does a Greek earn? I don't know. It will end when the aliens invade and enslave us all. Yes, well. We'll see. All right. Nyle is still setting up his stuff, so it might be a few minutes before we get Nyle back on. What else did I watch? I also watched. I don't want to get too much into it because I'm going to be talking about it on Friday on Physical Media Friday. Because this week, this coming Friday, I will have a bunch of new Blu-rays to talk about, new stuff. So we'll be going over that then, and I don't want to spill the beans, but I've got some stuff. I got some stuff. Was it yesterday? No, Saturday. Saturday I got some stuff because Barnes and Noble, which is a big book chain. Do you have Barnes and Noble in the UK? I don't know, but over here they're a big book chain called Barnes and Noble, and they're like the last chain of bookstores that are left. You know, everything else has shut down and gone away. With Amazon has taken over, but Barnes and Noble is the last brick and mortar chain. And there's a big Barnes and Noble not too far from where I live, and starting on, I think it started either Friday or Saturday, they started their Criterion Collection half-price sale. So for those of you unfamiliar, the Criterion Collection, they produce Blu-rays and DVDs that are of the highest quality. And their films are always pristine, amazing picture quality, always like the uncut best version of the movie, and they always have like director's commentary, tons of extras behind the scenes, making of, and everything they release, everything the Criterion Collection releases is always of a very, very high standard, which is why the discs are usually pretty expensive. But they just started a 50% off sale for all Criterion titles. It's a half price. And the sale goes on for a month, so no doubt I'll be going back there again, maybe next week or something. I don't know. But I went on Saturday and I picked up a few discs, and I watched one on Saturday night and I watched the other one on Sunday night. But I'm not going to tell you what they are. You have to wait till Friday, on Physical Media Friday, when I reveal all. But it was great. I hadn't been in a big bookstore like that for years, and to walk in there was like. It was a bit nostalgic, to be honest. It really was. It was like walking into the 90s. I walked in there and there's all these books as far as the eye can see, and then in the corner they have all these DVDs and Blu-rays, and they even have a record section. Can you believe that shit? They have a section for vinyl. It was. I went in there, looked around. I was like a kid in a candy store. It'd been so long since I'd gone to a, because most of my media, I get from online. Because it's so convenient. But walking into a real brick and mortar bookstore, like with physical shit, was. It was great. It really was great. The only thing that was annoying was that I was going through the racks, looking through stuff, and like every 10 minutes. Some chick would come up to me and say, "You finding everything okay, sir? Can I help you?" I'm like, "I'm fine, thank you." And then, 20 minutes later, "You need help finding? Can you just leave me the fuck alone, please?" Do you know what I mean? That was annoying. That was very annoying. It's like, if I need help finding something, I'll come to you. I'll seek you out and say, "Hey, can you help me find this?" Other than that, leave me the fuck alone. But other than that, it was great. All right. Let's bring in Mr. Opaque Lens himself. I'm going to give him a call. Let's give him a call here. Mr. Opaque Lens. There he is.
Oops, all right. Yeah,
Hey,
cool.
hey, how you
Oh, it
doing, man?
works. Yeah, all right. How about yourself?
Doing good. It works. There he is.
Yeah, I can see a bit of latency. It's making me look like those badly dubbed Japanese or Chinese Jackie Chan movies,
There we go.
So
But
yeah,
I'm sure for the people watching live,
yeah. I hope so.
it is
Yeah.
perfecto. So how you doing, man?
Oh yeah, been all right. It's just I haven't really been doing all that much recently though. I've been a bit of a an uneventful hermit, having a no life because I'm just in the last how to say in the last sort of few weeks of being here in New Alcatraz before I escape the Jobsworths, who will say to me, "Oh, you're not supposed to go to a red list country." Got that coming up probably, but
Wait, wait, wait.
and
What's
then
what's what's what's
freedom.
what's a red list country? I don't even know what that is. What's going on?
Oh right, yeah. Well, let's say, yeah, we've got the traffic light system in this country. They don't want us travelling. They don't want us to be free. But because this is England, they're very polite and passive aggressive in their
Mm.
totalitarianism. So they've released the travel ban, except that there's this sort of amber and red list countries, which basically means almost everywhere in the world, and green list countries, which is probably just Gibraltar at this point. Uh, and then if you go on holiday to
Yeah.
a green list country, it will become an amber list country halfway through, and then you'll have to come home early and quarantine.
Fuck.
It's,
It's
I mean, honestly, the whole country is might as well be run by, it's stuck together with gaffer tape and masking tape and run
uh-huh.
by half-wits at this stage. Yeah.
That's a it's dude. It's like I am I living on another not just another country but another planet because from what you're describing, it is nothing like that over here. Like literally like none of that shit is happening. It's
Yeah,
bizarre to me.
I know, right? And I've heard that, like, I mean, well, America's a bit of a strange one because you kind of semi-autonomous, aren't you? Like you're like 50 different semi-autonomous
Right.
sub-governments.
Right.
So you've got a hell of a lot going on, but most of it, from what I hear, most of America is open, has been for
Yeah.
quite a while now. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. For like since I think the no mask mandate came in on I want to say 15th, June
Yeah.
15th, where they said in California businesses cannot mandate that you wear a mask to go in restaurants and business. Whereas before it was like if you go in, you got to wear a mask. Whereas
Yeah.
now they cannot mandate that. So I mean, if you want to wear your mask and go in, that's fine, but you don't have to. You can go in
Yeah.
without the mask. And everything's pretty much back to normal. Like yesterday, I was telling you that we had July 4th, the celebrations, and
Yeah.
it was just like a normal July 4th. Everyone was out and
Yeah.
about. Nobody was wearing masks. It was completely normal. So when you say the things that's going on in the UK, like lockdowns and red countries and blah, 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 I'm like, what is this? Is this an alternate universe or something? What's going on?
Well, yeah, I mean, they're sort of reluctant to let go. I mean, there is July the 19th, which is the day when they're going to relax a lot of their rules. And also, one of the things that's changed recently is I don't know if you know, but we've got what's his name? Sajid Javid has taken over from Matt Hancock as the health secretary,
Mm.
and he seems to be more in favour of lifting the restrictions than Matt Hancock is. But to be honest, that's no surprise. Even fucking Adolf Hitler would be, you know.
Yeah, it's staggering to me, man. It's blowing my mind
Yeah.
how you guys are still on lockdowns and you can't do this and that and
Well,
it's very strange, very
it's
strange.
what's really sad, I think, about it as well is the fact that, I mean, what did I say? For all your viewers, I mean, I don't know how many of your viewers are American or how many of them, but I'd imagine that, like, just by sheer size of numbers, you've probably got a lot more American viewers than you have British viewers. And so I've got to tell you what makes me really sad is that as the UK is pretty much the primary parent country of the United States, and all the kind of things like freedom, rule of law, the free market, individualism, all that kind of came from here. It's really sad to see what is happening to this country now.
Yeah.
It really is because you get the impression that no one actually appreciates it anymore. And you kind of look at other countries like even other countries in Europe like Germany, which had the Nazis after the World War was split into,
Yeah.
was half
Yeah.
communist, right? And where Britain has just been the same for hundreds of years, it's one of the older countries in the Western world, established for the longest amount of time, and I just think that kind of it's been in this kind of state of staid complacency for so long. So I don't think people really appreciate the freedom that they have. I think having this kind of job's worth curtain twitching, snitching on your neighbours for the amount of power it makes you feel, kind of makes me think that totalitarianism itself here has become a bottom-up thing as well as a top-down thing.
Yeah, that's a good point. But the UK though, the culture in the United Kingdom is very much along the lines of follow the rules, right? I mean, when I was living in the UK, I mean, it was very much a population of rule followers. I mean, the whole term, which this is a term that I never ever hear in the United States, but in the UK, I would hear it every 3 seconds, where someone would say, "Should be a law against that."
Yeah, actually,
right?
that makes sense.
Oh, there should be a law against that. They shouldn't be allowed to do that. Someone should tell them, and that was the cultural vibe in the UK. Whereas here, no, that's it. What do you mean law? Who the fuck are you to tell me what I can't do? Law, get the fuck out of your mental case. I mean, it's very much a bunch of rule followers in the UK.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, because I mean, you know, also the thing about us here in the UK is that we're very much two parallel worlds, really. Because you've got people like me who are sort of like irreverent and sarcastic and rebellious and recalcitrant all the time. Half of England are like Johnny Rottens, basically, and the other half, or like the UK in particular. But I'd say it's probably even more polarized in England than it is anywhere else, right? Is that you've got this kind of very obedient, conformist people, right? Who are very middle class and very kind of virtue signal, even before woke was invented.
Yeah.
Very kind of, oh, look how good I am. I'm gooder than you. That sort of people, right? And then on the other side of it, you've got very sarcastic, spiky, recalcitrant, irreverent people as well. And it's kind of always been like that. We're a nation of, on one hand, conformists, and a nation on the other hand of, how can I say, Johnny Rottens, punks.
Yeah, and when I said right now, you know, it's the cultural rule followers. I think that's mostly true, but of course there are exceptions to every rule. There's a large segment of the population of the UK that are very much not rule followers, but I think that there is a cultural kind of vibe of like, you know, and that probably comes from the monarchy and things like that, right? The kind of the hierarchical systems, and you know, do what you're told and listen to the man in the suit and all that, you know what I mean, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think so. But then at the same time, I also think it comes out of respect and decency. But that can be easily subverted too.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like, you know, we've got this system, or we've had this system for a long time where, common decency that people would have to each other would be a kind of a normal thing.
Yeah.
And because we have, like you go to a lot of countries in the world and you do a lot of traveling, you notice that you get a lot of heavily armed people. All right, America's like that, right? But the difference with America, say, compared to most of the rest of the world, all right, I come to, say if I was to go to America, I don't think I would these days, but you've got overzealous, gun-toting bloody lunatics but they're still nevertheless a civilian force.
Right.
And they're not a military force. And you come to the UK and you have to deal with immigration and customs and police and stuff. Again, they're a civilian force. You just go next door to here, France, man. You know, you've got the gendarmerie, military force.
Yeah.
You go to, you change aeroplanes in the United Arab Emirates and they're all wearing battle fatigues and berets, and you know, again, you're dealing with a military force. You go to India, see the police over there, they're wearing military fatigue. So I think the fact that we come from a country where we are policed by consent, or at least in theory we're policed by consent with our unarmed police, and at the same time that the kind of apart from the British Army, which doesn't make its presence known very much in, you know, domestically, is more kind of out there as a defence force in the rest of the world. You don't mess with the SAS, right? But here in the UK, most of the authority figures are a non-military force, and I think that reflects a kind of that we're being governed by our fellow peers, and we've got this sort of, you know, the obedience is a and the rule following thing, and the rule of law is kind of like a reflection of the respect. But my attitude these days is that I think this is very much under threat now, because I kind of think that the authorities that we have now, especially in the era of COVID, are abusing that. And I think more and more people are waking up to the fact that we do have a bunch of complacent, creepingly authoritarian, do as I say, don't do as I do types running the country. And I think that over time this will change.
Well, it was the one that just was in the news, that Hancock dude.
Oh yeah.
He was on TV. You know, he's 6 feet apart. Don't go see your relatives. Even though your granny is sick, or dying, or 98 years old, don't visit her. Don't see them. And the next thing you know, he's out fucking some chick.
Yeah.
You know, and the rules are for everyone else. There's two sets of rules. You know.
Yeah.
There's the rules that you must follow, and then there's the rules that I follow. Very different.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing.
It's crazy.
It is, and be surprised that people here in this country are not as meek as you think they are, not as sheep-like as you kind of expect. A lot of people don't like this, and a lot of people are very seethingly resentful towards what's going on.
Yeah,
you know, we've had football. I mean, England's doing very well in the football at the moment.
Fixed.
But you got what's that?
Fixed.
No, England never does very well in the football. Now we're doing very well. So
I'm telling you, dude. Professional sport is fixed, and what's happening right now with the UK is a scam. It's being done to get everyone's mind off lockdowns and Hancock and all this shit. They're all focused on these fools running around kicking a ball.
Oh, but that's not working though. If they're their bread and circuses, it's not working very well.
You don't
because
think so?
No, because everyone, look, the England team keeps taking the knee, right? This is a good sign. They keep taking the knee, Black Lives Matter style, right? And every single time they do it, every single fan boos them. No one's buying it, right?
Wait, right? They do? So, I didn't know that. They take to the knee?
They take the knee.
That bullshit has traveled across the fucking the Atlantic, and you guys are doing that shit too?
Well, we're not, but they're trying to impose it on us, right? Now, what happened was that last year when George Floyd happened, there was Black Lives Matter protests here in the UK, and there were police taking the knee to the protesters, right?
Oh
and some cameraman had basically got a bunch of people in the audience, and the spin doctor had angled the camera so that the three only black people at the front of the line next to the police kneeling in front of black people. But when you zoom out and you saw the whole picture, the black people at the protest were only a small minority. Right? So, but anyway, now they've got in the habit of taking the knee. Every single time they take the knee, the fans boo. Mm-hmm. But the fans want the football. They want to go back to football matches. Yeah,
it's fun entertainment.
And there's very much part of the culture here. This is
of course.
It's probably more. I mean, football is important to this country as tea and beans on toast.
No, I agree completely. I mean, even though I am not a sports fan, not even in close, I totally get it that it's fun and it's entertaining and it's a cultural and entertainment venue, right? It's part of the culture. It's enormous fun. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, because you got me digressing here, but I was about to make a very important point.
All right, go for it.
And that is that the officials from UEFA, which is I think the European something Football Association, and FIFA, who are to do the World Cup, I don't know where they fit in, but FIFA and UEFA officials, the executives, have been coming over here, to go to Wembley, where some of the matches have been hosted in Wembley Stadium. And what's been happening is UEFA and FIFA officials have basically been waived the quarantine rules that the rest of us have to adhere to when travelling internationally, in the same way that the G7, when they were over here in Cornwall, were ignoring the social distancing rules that the rest of us had to adhere to. And Matt Hancock, of course, has his bit of shenanigans while breaking in. And then, of course, last year there was Neil Ferguson from Imperial College who recommended that the country go on lockdown, and then he breaks the rules by going off and having some polyamorous shenanigans with his mate's bird or wife. So they've been doing this rules for thee, not for me thing for forever now, and I think most people are sick of it, and most people are aware of it.
The same thing happened here last summer with the California governor Gavin Newsom.
Yeah,
he was on TV, saying don't visit your relatives, stay away from your friends, 6 feet apart. The usual bullshit these guys talk about. And then someone was with their phone took pictures of him at a big dinner party with like 30 other people, and they're all walking, no masks. Everyone's like, "Oh yeah, how are you? Yeah, great to see you." Like nothing.
Yeah.
And then they released the footage. Then he was, I apologize, and all this fucking bullshit. Then we had Nancy Pelosi, the other one who's got a mask on every fucking 3 seconds. And she, stay away, don't visit your. And the next thing you know, she's going to a fucking beauty salon and having her fucking hair done.
God, bloody hell!
It's a goof. It's a fucking goof. They're a bunch of lying cocksuckers. Every last one of those fucks.
I think when you said about her going to a beauty salon, that's impossible to make her beautiful, isn't it?
But you know what I mean? It's like this the level of hypocrisy with these pieces of garbage is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yeah. It's one rule for them, one rule for us. And we you know what, Niall, we shouldn't be shocked by this because it's always been this way. This is not new. This is not something like, oh my gosh, it's always been like this. Always.
Yeah. I mean, I just look at it and think, this is normal. Well, a part of me thinks this is normal politician behaviour, and then there's the other part of me that thinks this is normal primate behaviour.
Yeah,
when I see them do that,
that's true too. That's true.
And the idea that people will act shocked or in disbelief that politicians would be like this at this point, I'd act shocked and disbelief if politicians were honest myself.
That would be a huge shocker. If you finally got a politician that was honest and told the truth, I mean, that would be like, what? Your fucking head would explode because it's not going to happen.
No, it's true. They're not going to happen at all.
It's not going to happen. You have to be, in order to be a successful politician, you have to be a pathological liar.
Yeah. You
have to be a con man. You have to be a thief.
Yeah.
And you have to be a slimy piece of garbage. Now, if you're all those things, you will do well in politics.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, the fifth thing, you have to be a media trained version of all of those things.
Right,
as well.
That's true. Yes, exactly. So now, why don't you tell everyone about yourself and your YouTube channel and all that good stuff? Because I do apologize. I should have introduced you, but I kind of just brought you in and we immediately went on talking about shit. So just tell us about what you do and your channel and all that good stuff.
All right. Well, I just bang the world to rights, talking about whatever comes into my head, really, while trying to use at the moment the English countryside as a backdrop as I go walking around these bits of Devon. But I talk about, well, I don't know, I try to have I try to bring bespoke uniqueness to any perspective, and one of the things that I do is I like to disagree with everyone all of the time online about everything. Right?
I have noticed that, by the way.
Yeah. But do it in a funny and somewhat polite, agreeable sort of way, if that makes sense. In that I'm trying to my main thing is I want to talk about all of the things that are going on in our world at the moment, but I also am a bit concerned that we've become atomized and balkanized too much in echo chambers and silos. And whenever I go online and I see what people's opinions are and I see how people are thinking, I suppose what I'm trying to do is encourage people to think, to not conform. That includes not conforming to non-conformity. And that means that, like I say, opinions are like arseholes, and I say I'm just another arsehole on the internet. And when I go through, say for instance, when I'm going through Twitter, when I'm going through Facebook, and I see, people with a lot more subscribers than myself influencing the world, I don't often think that they influence the world in a good way. I think I don't think they mean to not do, but I just think that because we're living in this time of untethered information, that we're in at the moment, and we're living in this time where everything is untethered, but it's also a very paranoia-inducing world.
Hmm.
It's just, I suppose I'm trying to be a devil's advocate to that whole thing. I don't know if it's a good idea for me to do this or not, but my thing is that really what I'm trying to do is uh, be an influencer who gives people permission to use their own mind and work it all out for themselves. Be free, use your own individuality. It's your reality. You model it your own way. And then I try to I try to encourage people to tell a positive story, which is what kind of like every time a war was won, every time freedom was reclaimed, it always started from people telling a positive story and setting up a positive mythology, if that makes sense.
No,
So
I like the fact that you
yeah,
question this stuff. I mean, there's many
yeah,
times where you and I have been talking on the Mindset
yeah,
podcast or just talking, and
yeah,
I've had a perspective, and
yeah,
I've said, well, I think this, and you'll be like, yeah, but oh, I I didn't think of it that way. That's interesting, and
yeah,
it kind of it gets your brain thinking, right? And I've
mm,
noticed that a lot of your opinions are very malleable,
yeah,
and they're constantly evolving and changing and growing, which
yeah,
from my perspective, like when people change their opinion about things, all that tells me is that that person's thinking,
mm,
right?
yeah,
Whereas if you have the same opinions about shit that you did 10 years ago,
mm,
you're not really thinking. You're just, just on this tape loop of this thing that's in your head,
yeah. It's true. You kind of got a very fixed, ossified narrative thing going on. It's not a good idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, malleable's a good word for it because there's a difference between having an opinion that you're refining and reevaluating. There's a difference between that and there's a difference between flip-flopping. And the
Right.
trouble is, or dithering, and the trouble is that what I get from the internet and media generally these days is that everything's become 2D. Either you are absolutely fixed and entrenched and cemented in the way that you're thinking, or you're a ditherer and a flip-flopper.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a fallacy. That's I would call, that's what do they call that type of a false dichotomy fallacy, I would say.
Uh-huh.
I'd say that, if everyone was fixed and ossified in a way that they thought, and if I was to use computer metaphor to describe it, you were fixed in the way that you thought, and your ideology had not changed, and you've been nailing your, flag to a mast or whatever, and you've been like this for the last 15 years, then it's like having Windows 95 in your head still. You know?
Yeah, it's but by the same token though, if you
Yeah.
meet someone where you can never get a straight answer, right?
Oh yeah.
They won't commit.
Mm.
Like, well, I don't know. Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's like, dude, fucking
Mm.
have an opinion.
Yeah, you got yeah.
Whether it's right or wrong, whether you're right or it doesn't matter. Have an
Mm.
opinion. Don't be like, well,
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, maybe. It's like, no.
Yeah.
But if you have a definite opinion and that definite opinion is the same as it was 10 years ago, 15 years, then you're not thinking, you're not
No.
exploring the possibilities of that topic.
Yeah, it's true. You got to have an opinion, but you've also got to be what's it? It's got to be a level of nuance in there, isn't there? That's
Yeah.
the thing,
Mhm.
So you got to have a reasonably high resolution opinion, The trouble is that we've got a lot of people these days that have very low resolution opinions based on oversimplifications,
Mhm.
and then we've got people who won't commit to anything at all ever, and only ever sit on the fence. And I don't know, it's a bit of a difficult one because the world is very multi-dimensional, isn't it? And
Yeah.
and I think that I don't know if I was going to say there is a conspiracy of any kind. Um, you see, I do believe there are conspiracies, but I believe that the conspiracies that exist are the cheaper ones to do, right?
Yeah.
I don't believe that that the government would spend the money of a Hollywood blockbuster on the most elaborate and most complicated conspiracy with the most convoluted plot. But I do think that they would spend a BBC budget. They spend the old 1970s BBC budget on a conspiracy that's cheap and effective.
Yeah.
So I think that they would get behavioural psychologists to nudge us into thinking a certain way. They would get GCHQ and the 57th Brigade, and they would get all of these, people from, I don't know, the NSA to go and set up sock puppet troll accounts to influence opinion online. And to act dumb, because most people will copy dumb, and that's cheap enough to do. It doesn't involve too much elaborate stuff, you see.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm kind of in the same boat as you in regard to that, because even though I love conspiracies, I love a good conspiracy. I really enjoy them. I think that most conspiracies, the big ones, are nonsense.
Yeah.
I would say, and I'm using the word most because you can't throw babies out with bathwater.
That's true.
But the problem is that we don't really know which ones are real. I mean, we have a pretty good idea. We can kind of figure it out, but we don't know. But I do believe that conspiracies are real. They do happen. Conspiracy. I mean, how many times someone organizing a surprise birthday party? That's a conspiracy, right? It's that kind of thinking. But all the real big, multifaceted, their claws are into everything kind of thing. That's probably nonsense. Let's be honest. But some of them are real, right? But we just need to figure out which ones.
Yeah. Oh, it's true, and I think that the problem that we have at the moment. I mean, I've done a video on this, only just released it. I think it was yesterday I put it out. I wished Americans happy Independence from Us Day. Right. But anyway, I done a video where I was speaking about how if you go too far down the whole conspiracy rabbit hole thing, and you you take it to its nth degree or whatever, its final end game, then you get to the point where there's no point you even putting up a fight, because they are omnipotent and omniscient and omnipresent and godlike.
Right.
You can't win. You can't even strategize against them, because their behavioral psychologists have already worked out what your counterattack moves will be 200 years before you were born in early Illuminati circles. So there's nothing you can do about any of it. And even to the point where us winning World War II against the Nazis is part of the Illuminati conspiracy theory. And even peace and even our freedoms being reclaimed is part of a bigger conspiracy, right? Because you it's impossible for you to see any type of victory as victory, and everything's always a loss, and you are utterly powerless. And that's the mentality that I worry about, because you have no responsibility, you have no agency. If you think like that.
No, I see where you're going with that, but that argument or that point of view, excuse me, it also adds into like philosophical arguments like, is there free will, right? Does free will exist? So what you're describing kind of plays into that a little bit too, because we can foresee a world where free will is an illusion, and we are. Our decisions are made based on our biology and our culture and our upbringing, but they're set, they're programmed. And if you have enough data or enough information concerning a person's life, you can very successfully predict where they'll be 10 years from now. Like granular, unbelievable accuracy. So from what you're describing, it does play into that kind of thought process. What do you think?
Well, up to a point it might do, but I mean, if you were to put all that emphasis into use it, to one person, then maybe. But when you've got to manage millions of people, billions of people, then that's when it becomes a bit more difficult to try and do.
Yeah.
And the other thing, what you're saying about the free will thing, I've been thinking about this. Is there, isn't there free will? The philosophy 101 question, and I dismiss that as another false dichotomy.
Okay.
And the reason why I do it is, because say for instance, I don't know, if there's some girl I don't want to shag or don't want to find attractive, I can't do anything about it because I don't have much free will, because that's involuntary and that's a struggle. But if I decide that I'm gonna stand up, right there, out of my own free will, I just chose to do it. So I've come to the conclusion that we have free will enough of the time.
I know, but I could have predicted that you would have done that.
Well, you could, but then again, that's a well, then I could quite easily have not done that. You see?
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
I see what you're saying. So
And-
that's why with the whole
Yeah.
free will argument.
Yeah.
There's no definitive.
Yeah.
Yes, free will exists. No, it doesn't.
No.
There's successful arguments on both sides of
Yeah.
the coin. There's no definitive. This is all there is to it. You know.
But I think what I do think though is the fact that my real point here is that when people think, you see, if we were to think to ourselves that yes, it's wonderful to be a normie, let's all conform, and the police are lovely and governments are lovely, and
Well,
let's be,
a lot of people feel that way, Niall. A lot of people feel that way.
yeah, but they're not very bright, are they?
I agree. That's true, but they do. They feel that way.
But the thing is that a lot of these people who are that low resolution in their lives are the same. You know, they are exactly a reflection from the people on the other side who are conspiranoid, so to speak. The ones who are really conspiranoid, but at the same time not very bright.
Yeah.
They come to the conclusion that literally everything is a conspiracy. And there's a level of I don't know what I'd say. I don't want to call it subhuman, but there's a level upon which where there's the whole vast swathe of people who are not very bright when they think about all of this stuff. And my concern is that if people, there isn't much focus on nuance these days. There isn't much focus on, right, yeah, there are some conspiracies. A lot of them won't work. There's also a lot of cock up as well, which goes to show that there's a high level of inefficiency within any of the conspiracies too, and some conspiracies will work, but when we actually look and think, well, what conspiracies are there, then we kind of got to think, well, what are the cheapest and the easiest ones to do? Because that's where you're going to start, and that's where you're going to find conspiracies, and then when people try to unravel things, like when something like 9/11 happens, I kind of noticed that 5 or 6 years after 9/11 happened, all you ended up with was lots of different balkanized truth group tribes hating each other, right? And that's sort of what happened, you know. If you were on the Judy Woods justification lot, you know, they were basically just shit posting and trolling at the people who believed the thermite story.
Right.
And it was just yaboo politics back and forth from both sides.
Yeah.
And whereas if you come up with another idea, like I'd come up with, I said to you before, all right, then imagine the official story is true and then see what you can find out about it. That also looks like a conspiracy because of the Mujahideen, the CIA, and all those connections. Right? You wouldn't even be able to get that far with any of the people in the truth movement, because as soon as you said, suppose the official story is true, they'd refuse that thought experiment because they were so ideologically entrenched in their own version of it. And you just get more yaboo politics. So most of the people who claim to be bright enough to see the conspiracies are not. Actually, they're just as dumb as the blue pills. And so we've got dumb red pills and dumb blue pills out there. And you know, no one actually thought laterally enough to think to tell Morpheus to stick his red pill up his arse and then get back out of the rabbit hole. But add the experience of the rabbit hole to your wisdom. Well, like as if it was a rite of passage.
There's a new pill now, and Benjamin Jones I didn't know about this. He was telling me about it. You know, we're all familiar with the red pill and the blue pill, but now there's the black pill.
Oh yeah,
the black pill. And the black pill is the funnily enough, is what you were just describing, where, you know, there's no hope, they control everything, and you're black pilling me. Yeah. You know?
Oh, it's true. Your black pill basically is that every stock market, every future forecast of money or crypto or stock market is a bear market. There is no bull market. Everything in the future is all dystopian. There is no hope.
Yeah.
There is only Armageddon.
Right.
And Ragnarok. Yeah, that's what they call it, black pill. I think that's a mental illness, personally.
Well, it's very depressing. I mean, if you are unfortunate enough to be one of those people that are doom and gloom, future dystopia, nothing we can do about it. It's not. I mean, even if you're right, it's still not a fun place to live. It's best it's always better to think your glass is half full than half empty. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just to have that mindset, to even if things are going bad, to think positively for yourself. It just makes you feel better, you know?
It's true, and it's also like like with the if you were to take the whole black pill again to its nth degree, right? Well, not in Los Angeles, but here in England, winter follows summer, right?
Yeah.
Well, you could just decide that oh, you've had a nice summer. Oh no, winter's coming, and then just decide, right? There's never ever going to be a summer again. This is a nuclear winter, and it's the end. And then next spring, when you see the days getting longer and blossoms coming on the trees, you then decide, no, that's just a conspiracy to lead us into a false sense of security. This nuclear winter's going to last forever. Right?
No, that's a great analogy. That really, I mean, like there's a lot of people like that.
Yeah.
With that kind of mindset.
Oh, yeah.
It's interesting to me though, but the negativity that kind of fuels a lot of the conspiracy arena. I think it speaks more to the person than the actual conspiracy, right? It tells you a little bit about them and how their mind is functioning. Maybe their lives are not there. Maybe they're not in a good place in their own life. And this overarching conspiracy takes the responsibility of their own lives from them and places it into the hands of this mythical kind of orchestrating evil. So they don't have to be responsible for their own misery. It's someone else's fault.
Yeah, that's true. And it's it's easy and lazy to think like that, isn't it? Which is the trouble. And I kind of feel like I've taken on, since I started doing my videos, I feel like I don't think I intended to start this way, but I think I've basically taken on a fight, as it were, where I kind of think that the most important thing I think at the moment is we have to keep our morale up. This was something that you go back to World War II. The only reason I think that we're not living in a Nazi world is because of the attitude. Say, for instance, I don't know, I can't really speak for the Americans who joined the war later, but in Britain it was actually happening right here. So we were right in the middle of it here. And everything was about things that had to be good for morale. That was the narrative of the time. The main grand narrative is boosting morale. And we don't really have any of this at the moment. We just have, every time there's hope on the horizon at the moment, we've got our, we've got our scientists and our politicians dashing our hopes. Every time there's any sign of joy or hope at the moment, anything to do with coming out of the COVID thing, it's all about dashing it. At the same time, I've been looking at the last year of conspiracies, and I've noticed as well that, have you noticed that everyone stopped talking about 5G all of a sudden?
Yeah, I have noticed that. It is, I mean, I've heard the jokes. I mean, I've heard many people saying, "Oh, I just went and got the COVID shot," but instead of saying I'm going to get the COVID shot, I'm going to the doctors to get 5G installed. Things like that. But other than that, you're right. That whole kind of thought process and that narrative has kind of gone on the back burner for now. I think it might reappear, but for now it's off the cards.
Yeah, I mean, it's off the cards. But I think also that, one of the other things that has happened recently is that they are speaking, at least in our mainstream media, about, and also maybe in America too, I don't know, about there have been some adverse effects from some of the vaccines.
Right.
Now, no, I decided to take it, and I haven't had any, luckily enough. But I think something like about 1,400 people in the UK have died as a result of two of the vaccines so far. But I mean, 1,400 out of, it's probably about 30 or 40 million people at this point. So it doesn't seem like a very big percentage. It's still a lot of people. That's the thing.
Same over here. I mean, a lot of people. The vast majority of people that take the shot, they're fine. They might get sick for a day or two, but ultimately, there's no adverse effects that we're aware of. I mean, 3 to 5 years from now, we don't know, but right now they're fine. But a small minority of people get extremely sick and die.
Yeah.
Which
and
is,
I think that they're starting to talk about this on some of the more, what I call lesser mainstream channels like GB News and Talk Radio, which are like our, they're not the woke media. They're not part of the wokeocracy. but they are beginning to talk about this and entertain the idea. So, and there are a lot of people who are. There's also a lot of opposition to the idea of vaccinating children here too. So there is, like I say, one of the things that I am happy about is that there is a more balanced approach to talking about the pros and the cons of the vaccine in the more mainstream end of it. And it's not just become a topic only of the wokeocracy on one side and the conspiranoid on the other. It's made it to a happy medium, and I'm happy about that. And my whole attitude is that we have to get all of these subjects that we're talking about and everything that we're thinking about. We have to get this to be spoken about in the in that middle media between the crank conspiracy tinfoil hat end and the woke like CNN, BBC end. There has to be somewhere in the middle where this is spoken about sensibly. And
well, when we talk about, we were talking about like normies earlier on, and the vast majority of normies are obviously they're going in and getting the shot. And then there's a cultural component going on here where they look down upon and vilify people who have not taken the shot, which is kind of messed up, right? Because taking a vaccine is a voluntary thing, right?
Yeah.
But the cultural norm here in the West is you have to take it, and if you don't take it, well, then you're a Nazi or a Trump supporter or who knows what, right? There's that kind of connotation is looped into not taking the shot.
Well, there is conspiracy fact smoking gun here, actually, when you're talking about this stuff. And I'd recommend. I know this is there's a book here in the UK. I'd recommend Americans find this book too. If you can get it on, I think on Audible or Apple Books. I don't know, one or both of them. But you can find the audio version of it. The woman's name is Laura Dodsworth, and the book is called The State of Fear. And she wrote it only last year, and she narrates it herself. And it's very Britain centric, but it wouldn't be alienating for Americans to listen to this because it goes into detail about how the governments over here have created a psychocracy and basically have been using behavioral psychologists and nudge units to scare the shit out of everyone, to manipulate people subliminally without them knowing they're being manipulated, and to shame everyone into conforming. And this is pretty much documented fact. This is what they're doing. So this is what I mean by they're not going to waste money conspiring against us. And the real conspiracies, well, it's very easy to confirm them. They are smoking guns. But this is exactly what they've been doing. The whole thing about shaming non-vaxxers or anti-vaxxers and creating a, what you call it, a mentality of conformity towards a group. We're the good guys, they're the unclean.
Right.
Is deliberate, and governments and nudge units are doing this. And if you're paying tax, you are funding your own brainwashing, and this is pretty much proven now.
Yeah, I would agree. And this whole cultural shaming is it's not right. It's so not right. I mean, if you've taken the shot, why do you care if someone else doesn't?
I don't know. I mean, exactly. What the hell does it mean?
Why would you give a shit?
Yeah, exactly.
But apparently people are being conditioned to very much give a shit.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show they're taking advantage of people's ignorance and stupidity. They can't be doing anything else, because the whole point of it is there's a thing called game theory, and that is that if 50 or 60% of people are vaccinated, it doesn't matter about the other 40%.
Right.
That herd immunity should be imminent at some point. So, and more than that amount of people have been vaccinated. So what the hell the problem is?
Yeah.
But people, people seem to be, it's like a kind of school playground thing. The thing that really pisses me off the most is the fact that people are being encouraged to be judgmental about other groups of people, to be sanctimonious. And all right, I don't consider myself to be Christian, but if Judeo-Christianity is a kind of a cornerstone or a building block of what makes up the moral fabric of our culture in the Western world long term. One of those very important blocks is don't judge other people. Judge not, and thou shalt not be judged.
Right.
So why the fuck would they be encouraging everyone to be judgmental and sanctimonious towards people? You know, and if that's what they're doing, then basically this is an assault on. And I don't consider myself to be Christian or religious, but I do consider this mentality, what they're doing, to be an assault on one of the building blocks of the fabric of our entire culture that goes right back to its foundations.
Yeah, and you know, I'm not religious at all. But even saying that, there's a lot of good stuff in religious work, right? And you just described one right now. You know, don't judge anyone. You know, do unto others as you would have done to you. All of these things, they're legitimate tenets of life, right?
Yeah.
Whether you believe in the story or not, these nuggets are they're wisdom. They're truisms, right? Whether it's from the Bible, the Quran, you know, whatever. There's lots of these like little pearls of wisdom which are valid.
Yeah.
You don't have to take the whole story, but these little nuggets of truth that we should attempt to follow and to make not only our own lives better, but those around us, you know?
Yeah. Well, it was like one of the things where I just one of those things that are stuck in my mind when I was a kid is that, like, you know, when you get a critical thinker like myself, and you can't, even at school they couldn't get me to conform, but whenever I saw nuggets of wisdom, I always learned from them, but I didn't learn from the way they wanted me to learn from them, right? And but I always saw, and one of those things that really stood out to me was when I was a kid. I think in the RE class, in a religious instruction class, I had that when I was a kid.
Yeah.
The teacher made us watch that 1970s miniseries Jesus of Nazareth. Actually, a good,
with
definitely
Robert
worth
Powell,
watching.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Robert Powell.
Yeah.
Definitely worth watching. Because I think it comes from a religiously agnostic perspective, trying to tell the story. It doesn't come across like it has a God botherer agenda, which is one of the good things about him.
Yeah.
But there was a point where there was some, I don't know, some prostitute. It might even have been Mary Magdalene, and all the blokes were throwing stones at her. And then Jesus walks past, and then they asked him, right, Master, what, she was acting immorally or whatever. What should we do with her? And then Jesus just said to him, right, well, let he who is without sin cast the first stone. And they all kind of got stuck, and they all had to drop their stones.
Right. Yeah.
And that's the attitude that people should have about people who refuse the vaccine. Don't call them refuseniks, right?
Yeah.
You know, you might want to get the vaccine yourself, but are you just being a hypocritical twat, right? If so, you are with sin too.
But now it's the easy way out is to go with the flow, right? To go along with the herd is very easy. It's like you don't have to think, you don't have to worry about anything. You know, you just this is what everyone's doing. This is what the culture says. Well, I'll just go ahead and do that too. Yeah, it's easy. You know, you don't have to think. You just go with the flow.
Oh, that's to be honest, you know, that's the worst sin of all, as far as I'm concerned, right? We have in our heads the most complex known thing that exists in the universe that we know of, right? And all right, there might be talk of aliens and advanced species and stuff like that, but none of us have known any. Oh, we haven't gone down the pub and had a drink with any of them, nor have we X-rayed their skulls, right? So for what we actually know, the known knowns, to use a Donald Rumsfeldism, is what we have inside our heads is we all contain the single most complex thing in the universe that we know of, and that's the human brain. If we are using that to not think and go with the flow, then basically we don't deserve to have the most complex thing inside our heads.
I think the problem is thinking is hard, and it's hard because we're in this like bubble of illusion. Everyone, you have your worldview on how you think reality functions and how you think the world functions, and it's safe and it's warm and it's comfortable and it's cozy and it feels good. But if you start thinking and if you start questioning these thoughts that you have in your about how reality works, that's going to upset the apple cart. It's going to make your nice, comfy, warm bubble not so comfy anymore. And things are going to get awkward and difficult and not good. Therefore, to avoid all that, just don't think about it.
Well, I don't know. It doesn't actually work out like that in real life, though. That comfort and that ease, it just creates atrophy. And that's the thing. Whereas, I often think that challenging your comfort zone is very important.
I agree completely. Totally agree.
And that's the trouble. We are not defined by comfort. And all right, it's good that we are more comfortable than, say, our ancestors were. It's good that we've achieved a certain level of comfort. But, there's got to be a point where, I don't know, there's a little bit of intuition inside of you thinking, no, this is wrong to go along and do this.
Right.
And maybe some of us just wear our subconscious closer to our conscious mind than other people do, because that's what I sort of feel, that I get this warning, this alarm clock going off inside me if I'm ignoring the fundamental truth. And
I feel this. I feel the exact same way, and I think you're 100% correct about our comfort zone. Not being comfortable is the key to growth.
Yeah.
Right? You have to push yourself to do things that your body is telling you, nah, you don't want to do that. Nah. It's like me. I'm doing a daily live stream, right? Now, if you'd asked me a month ago or 2 months ago, are you going to do it? I'd be like, no, fuck, are you kidding me? I got to get up at 5 every day to stream on YouTube? You're out of your mind.
Yeah.
But that's my comfort zone talking to me, right? It's much more. I could be in bed right now sleeping and it would be all nice and cozy. But no, in order to grow, in order to expand your horizons and to push barriers, you have to do things that that your mind is telling you, no, don't do that. Stay in bed. Stay in bed.
Yeah, fair enough. Mind you, I don't know. I'd get up at 5 myself, but no, I get your point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that one of the issues, I suppose, is that what we've been through, what we've historically been through, I think, in the past, and especially with World War II and the Cold War, right? And all of that, we should know by now that these comforts could go any time. They could just disappear. I had a bit of a theory about something at the moment. Here's my idea of a kind of a my future dystopia that I see happening at the moment, and that is that America and China are going to end up broke, and there's going to be mass starvation and mass famine, and one reason only.
Well, that's a cheery thought, Niall.
All right, yeah, but you know what they're going to do, don't you?
What?
They're gonna spend all their money on nukes. China's gonna nuke up, so it has more nukes than America, and then America thinks, oh shit, so America nukes up more, and then we're gonna have Cold War II, and then America and China will both become bankrupt as a result of that. And I think that there's this part of me that's thinking you might get a few crypto anarchists who might escape to other bits of the world, and those other little bits of the world will become the new anarchist, capitalist, prosperous world, right? And the Western world and China will all become skint. Whoa. And that's the kind of future world that I see, unless of course someone presses the red button and then we're all skint.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I don't know whether what you're describing is a possibility or a lovable, wishful thinking fantasy.
It's hard to know.
I don't know, but hopefully that won't come true. I want to remain positive. I want to think that the world's going to get better, not worse.
Oh, well, yeah, I do think that. I'm just using that. I'm not a black pill here.
Yeah.
But one of the things that one of the things that I would say that we watch out for is that there could end up being a nuclear arms race between China and America if we're not careful. We could find ourselves slipping into the old habits that we had with the Soviet Union, right? Except the difference I see what would happen is that I think that no one would press the red button because no one wants to go down that because they know they know that if they press that,
that's it. It's over. It's the end.
yeah,
That's it. It's
we,
game over.
so I think no one will do that. But I think what will happen is that most of the GDP will be spent on nukes. and then
Yeah.
and then enough people will think, oh fuck this for a game of soldiers, I'm disappearing from the Western world or China or wherever. Let's go to El Salvador, let's go to Nicaragua, let's go to fucking South America, or let's go to the Cayman Islands or the Seychelles or Africa or Eastern Europe or wherever they can, and you're going to have these breakaway pockets forming. I think I can see something like that happening. It's a kind of
I
a
hope
wild
not.
card scenario.
I hope not, man.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah, that would be fucked up. But
Oh, yeah.
I want things to get better, not worse.
Yeah.
But we just look. We learn from the past. How the world played out in the past, and
Yeah.
obviously things are significantly better now than 200 years ago, or even 100 years ago. For the average person, things are significantly better, right?
Yeah.
Even if you're poor and you're broke, your
Yeah.
life, as fucked up as it is significantly better than if you were poor and broke 100 years ago.
Yeah,
Right?
that's true.
So
Yeah.
if we keep going on that path,
Mm.
who knows, right?
I do worry about a few things though. I mean, one of the things that one of the people I follow on Twitter is Andy No. I don't know if you heard of him.
No, not familiar.
All right, he's I think where is he from? I don't know, somewhere like I don't know if he's sort of South Korean or something like that originally, could be, or he's Asian. I think when lives as an American citizen, but he's also British. He's an Anglo-American citizen. As a journalist in Portland, and he actually wrote a book about Antifa. And they've made him out to be a Nazi, right? And the banjo player of Mumford and Sons came out and said that he read Andy No's book, and then he was cancelled by all his woke fans, and ended up doing a grovel. Yeah, but
It's madness, man. It's madness.
It is. But every time I see Antifa, they're destroying, beating people up and destroying buildings and setting people on fire, and they're doing it with total impunity. And I think this is happening in America a lot, and this is something I'm a bit concerned about, because I think, well, it is something that is going to have to be contained one day, isn't it?
Yeah, it's as if nobody will speak out, right? Everyone knows it's wrong. Everyone is against it. Everyone knows it's wrong, but nobody will publicly come forward and say this is wrong, because they know that they'll get the backlash and the cancel and you're a Nazi, you're this, you're that, and you'll get all that. You'll get all this pointed at you, right? So even though this is bullshit, this shouldn't be happening, you won't speak out because of the backlash that you'll get, the cultural backlash that you'll get, especially if you're a media personality. Imagine if you worked in Hollywood, right? Say you were a director or a writer or whatever in the movies, and you can see all this woke bullshit being pushed down the throat of every fucking movie and TV show, and you know it's bullshit. You know it's nonsense. You know it's a bunch of shit, but you cannot speak out against it. Because if you do, you're committing career suicide, right?
Yeah.
So you have to go along with it if you want to stay in that industry and have a job.
Yeah, my God, it's bad, isn't it, man? It's so bad that your livelihood will be threatened. Just set yourself up to have a livelihood where that won't be threatened. then that's all right.
Yeah,
but
it's fucked up. But that's unfortunately that's the way the world is right now.
Yeah.
Like I was saying earlier, I mean, it will end. It will go away. There's no question that this bullshit will end. We just don't know when.
Yeah, don't know when or don't know how. And it's and it's like one of the things I suppose I see when I look at this is that there are a lot of people speaking out against it. I mean, I can think of a lot of high-profile people who are speaking out against it. Like Douglas Murray's the first one that comes to mind, and he's become very famous on both sides of the Atlantic. He actually went undercover. He went as an undercover journalist and followed Antifa like they didn't know who he was, to document them, to write about them, to get a better understanding.
Yeah.
So you've got him, you've got well, obviously you've got Jordan Peterson, you've got Brett and Eric Weinstein as well, who are speaking about this too. You've got, well, I mean, I don't know where to fit Fox News into all of this as you get closer to the mainstream. Here in Britain, we've now got GB News, which is a new news channel.
Oh, really?
Run by Andrew Neil, the Scottish man who used to.
Is it on TV or on the internet, or where is it? GB News. What's it called?
Yeah, it's on GB News. It's on TV,
Okay.
and you can watch it on the internet too. So if you've got a Sky box or whatever, Digibox or whatever, you can watch it on the television and you can watch it on the internet. But what it is that, like, I think they got rid of Andrew Neil because he was white and male and all of that, and they want the BBC have disappeared up their own woke arse.
Yeah.
And so Andrew Neil thought, right, screw this, I'm setting up my own network, and he did. And so basically, a lot of people, including like veteran news anchor Alistair Stewart, who's been around here in this country since
forever.
the 1980s, right? Yeah, he joined it. He got cancelled on Twitter. He was basically, I think he was tweeting a poem. It was a famous poem, right? But because someone had construed it as racist, he got cancelled, right? So that was it, the end of his career. He ended up working for GB News. He's down there now. And also, like, what they've done as well is they've got a few, but they're all speaking out against woke. And this is the thing. That's the basis of their channel, is that they're all speaking out against it. They don't take it seriously. They don't. And what happened was, of course, is that you end up having people like, I don't know. There's a bloke called Femi Olawole. He sounds like someone who's been to one of those international American schools, right? He was a real staunch Remainer during the Brexit thing. Yeah, there you go. Right.
That's it. I just pulled up the website. I've never seen this before.
Oh yeah, you should.
Look what they got. Look at all these people. They got Alistair Stewart, Alex Phillips, Andrew Neil.
Oh, and Andrew Doyle as well, who's a comedian. But as you can see, they're quite diverse.
Yeah.
There's a lot of women and there's a lot of black people in there, right? Now, that girl, the one that, if you go to, I think, where's her name? Mercy. She's the black girl.
Right here.
Yeah, you got the. Oh, I can't remember her name. Is it Inania Florin, whatever her name is? Mercy Muroki.
Yeah.
Right. She was involved in a recent a recent study, a very intensive study to find out if Britain was institutionally racist. Right. And they come to the conclusion that Britain was not an institutionally racist country. She was part of that study. Right. She was called a coon and an Uncle Tom and a race traitor by, the pro-Black Lives Matter black people and, of course, middle-class white people over here too.
Yeah.
Right? Because she was part of a study that came out to say that Britain was not an internationally racist country. She was accused of being a traitor for it. Anyway, she ended up being one of the people, the presenters on GB News herself.
How is the chat? Because I honestly, dude, until you mentioned it a few minutes ago, I had no idea that thing even existed. So how is it as a news source? Is it fair and is it biased? Is it, what's the deal?
All right. Well, over here we have this thing called Ofcom. Ofcom basically means that whatever you do, you can't, even the BBC, despite how woke it is, it has to have the pretense of balance, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it basically means that they have to have someone on their panel who disagrees with them. Now, however disingenuous it is, they have to do something to demonstrate balance because it's part of Ofcom's standards that they do this. America is unregulated like this, so as a result, Fox News is very biased one way, and CNN and all that, they're very biased another way, right? That's not technically possible in the UK. So in order to for GB News to work, it has to conform to Ofcom's standards and rules. But they are still nevertheless coming from an opposite view. But it seems very professional, and it's run by Andrew Neil, who's an old veteran from the BBC, and so it seems very professional to me. All right, they had a few technical hitches to start with, bad sound, but they're ironing out the teething
It's
problems.
not like was it the People's Voice, that David Icke thing that was a total fucking shit show. Remember that from a few years ago? Absolute fucking calamity from day one. Now, then they would always say, "Oh, it's a conspiracy. They're trying to keep us down," and it's like, no, it's just you guys are fucking incompetent. You don't know what the fuck you're doing, and you're shooting yourself in the foot every 3 seconds.
Well, the thing is that, like, people wanted the People's Voice to work because they wanted, if anything, David Icke would be doing them. Really hardcore conspiracy theorists out there wanted David Icke to succeed.
Yeah,
but it didn't for whatever reason. You know, it was just that he
didn't work.
Yeah,
it failed.
Yeah. And so, you know, in the case of GB News, I keep getting people commenting on me because I've bigged up GB News and say I think it's a really good idea that we have this, you know, we have
Flower in the chat just came out and said, GB News is a joke.
Oh, of course, people are going to say that. That's what they're going to say. But I think people who say they're going to miss the point here. The people who say that are not nuanced enough in their thinking, in my opinion. You see, because the way I'm looking at it, there's a lot of cognitive bias that exists these days that people are unaware of, and that is that the only credible information is the really, really extreme lunatic fringe. If anything ends up on the telly, if anything ends up in the media, it automatically means that it's a joke because it's on the telly. But my attitude is that up until now, we've only had mainstream rubbish singing from the same hymn sheet without anything opposing that narrative.
Right.
GB News is the first time in this country, in the UK, that we've had something oppositional to the same hymn sheet that's a happy medium between the mainstream and the lunatic fringe. If your only choice in your culture is between the normies and the sheeple and the woke at one end and the tinfoil hat wearing lunatic fringe at the other end, then it's over, man.
Yeah,
and
if you got to have choice. You got to be able to,
Yeah.
have multiple points of view or opinions, or ideally have a news source that has no opinions. What all they do is report the facts.
Yeah.
There's no opinion pieces, no this, no that. But that's extremely rare. That's very difficult to do.
Well, they do have opinion shows. They do have opinion shows on GB News, but they're very unashamedly happy to talk about opinions that are not popular or not allowed on the BBC or any other channel. Right? They're okay to do that. Now, some people out there will think, all right, because they're not going too far down conspiracy rabbit holes, and therefore obviously there must be a distraction, or it must be a joke, or it must be controlled opposition.
Right.
But again, my concern, I'll say this many times, is that my concern with that whole line of thinking is flawed. Because you can write anything off as controlled opposition. You can write anything off as anything you want to.
Right.
You know, but if you use your own mind and you don't follow peer group pressure from either side, and you use your own mind, and you pay attention, and you're discerning about it, and you have agency, and you have responsibility, and you trust your own intelligence and your wisdom and your experience and all that, then it's up to you to work it out for yourself. But if you dismiss everything,
you can't,
and you're busy filtering it out because you have cognitive bias, and
it's like I mean, controlled opposition is real. It does exist, but not everyone with the alternate opinion is controlled opposition. It's like false flags. False flags are real and do happen. But is every event a false flag? No.
No.
But there are a lot of people that believe. I mean, any world event is like false flag. Everything, right? And there's no way.
Yeah.
There is no way that every event is a false flag. Some of them might genuinely be so, but all of them, come on, please.
It's true, man. Yeah, you can't just have false flags everywhere. And again, you know, I think one of the things that really got me frustrated was after 9/11 and then after 7/7 and then after all the other like terrorist attacks and van attacks and knife attacks and everything that we had that came from what you would call the political Islamism that we had, that every terrorist attack, people going to be really that stupid to believe that all of this is done
Yes.
by the CIA and MI5 and MI6?
Yes.
Yeah, they
Yes.
probably are.
There, dude. Seriously, there are people
Yeah.
that believe it, 100%.
But I mean, at the same time, David Shayler blew the whistle on MI6, I think, because he discovered that they had a plan to assassinate Colonel Gaddafi, and he foiled it, right? And what was it? There was back in the 1950s or early 60s, there was the Operation Northwards, which
Yep.
was proven to be a false flag that was stopped by President Kennedy. So we know that false flags, and we know that, as I say, conspiracies do happen.
Right.
But when you're being coerced and bullied and corralled into thinking that everything's a false flag by some aggressive person who's just dismissive about everything.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I mean, I don't know this person who just typed GB News is a joke, but what I will say is that, watch it, get to know the presenters, and then think about what they say, juxtapose this against something like the Alex Jones on the David Icke show on one hand, right? And then watch the BBC after that. And then...
let me stop you right there, Niall. I want to talk about super male vitality, Infowars.com. We do have an alternate. Anthony Nicholas says GB News is good. So there is an alternate point of view. But I've not seen 1 second of GB News. Right. I up until 10 minutes ago, I didn't even know the thing existed. So, but I will certainly be taking a look, and I'll absolutely form an opinion one way or the other. But I'm interested. I will be checking it out for sure.
Yeah, no, I'm familiar with half of the presenters on it because they've been on other things. You know, like I don't know if you come across trigonometry. Have you come across them?
You mean like? Are you talking about personality or math?
No, they're called trigonometry. They're basically a couple of blokes, comedians, British comedians, but they do a talk show which is kind of like the UK version of what Joe Rogan was doing, and they've had a lot of good guests on. They've had Jordan and Michaela Peterson on. They just had David Nutt on recently, so they've had everyone on, right? But their name. Russian bloke called Konstantin Kisin and English, half Venezuelan English bloke Francis Foster. They've been doing interviewing people for quite a few years now. They're very established, very well known, and they've had Andrew Doyle on. Andrew Doyle's also been on like The Spectator, which is another Andrew Neil project. Douglas Murray, he's another one of these people. I've decided to get more into these people. It's a little bit closer to the mainstream than they used to be. But they are at the same time stern critics of woke. They're stern critics of the social engineering that we find that the West is going in. Yeah. And I think that they have a much more sensible way of criticising the world than the real tinfoil hat conspiracy theorists. And I've actually found that as I've balanced my mind since I've taken myself away from the fringes, I feel more sane than I used to feel.
You feel better. You feel more, yeah. Let's dive into the chat. Lots of people are making comments on what we're saying here. Let's see. Punches Couches says, "I've got a tinfoil lined cap." LOL. There you go. All right. Hopefully that helps. Keep out the voices. The voices. Hopefully we'll keep them out. Let's see. Simon Burrell says, "I ignore as much of the news as I can." Which is probably why I don't understand most of this. So go ahead.
I think that, like in a case like this, all right, it's good to filter out stuff if it's making you feel a bit crazy, right? Then I can't knock that. But there's got to be a difference between self-preservation and willful ignorance. It depends why you do it, right? So I'm not going to judge anyone on this. But my real concern is not when people ignore the news. I know that a lot of the time that the news is depressing. I know that, being constantly fed media all the time, whether it's mainstream media or even whether it's social media,
it will bring you down. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and sometimes you do need to, cut it all off, have a tech break, and because it's good for your soul to do that. But then I say that there is a difference between doing that and being willfully dismissive because you're caught up in your own balkanized confirmation bias bubble, which a lot of people are and don't even know they are. And they're usually the angriest people, the most disagreeable people. You know?
We all got a comment here from Cyrus Carter. He says, "The People's Voice. I worked there in Wembley with David." That'd be interesting to hear what you have to say about that, Cyrus. Maybe post something in the chat. How was it working there? Was it fun? Was it cool? Was it a fucking nightmare? I don't know. I mean, I remember when the People's Voice launched, and I was very excited about it. But whenever, hang on, let me get rid of that. That popped up. But whenever I'd watch this, it looked like a fucking shambles.
Yeah.
It looked like an absolute, like nobody knew what the fuck they were doing. Mm-hmm. Everyone was pissing away money. It was a goof.
Yeah.
There was nobody there that knew, okay guys, this is what we're going to do and go with it. It was like there was too many chiefs and not enough Indians.
Yeah, that's true. Right, that's you cancelled, you racist.
Oh God, no. Maybe I shouldn't have used that terminology. But was it too many cooks in the kitchen? I guess something like you know the point I'm trying to make.
We should keep using phrases like "too many chiefs, not enough Indians." It's not racist to say. I was just joking. But we should. but it's a very good way of describing it. It's exactly what it was, wasn't it? And yeah. And again, I think that I think that like David Icke was still stuck, because I kind of think of him as stuck in the legacy media era. I think that's one of his downfalls, really, is the fact that he's not very technologically astute. Uh-huh. If you listen to any of his interviews, he hasn't really updated what he's saying, right? I kind of think certain things have changed in the world, and David Icke is still running legacy programs.
Right.
Yeah. And that's my real concern.
Well,
him.
I remember he wanted to buy like old technology. He would buy like old TV cameras and stuff, and I was like, what are you doing? Just buy a fucking a camcorder and hook it up to a fucking HDMI. I mean, he could have done everything that he wanted to do. It would have looked 1,000 times better, and it would have been half the cost. Yeah. But he had no clue what to do, and it was just a goof. Serious. So he writes back and he says, it was very busy. Everyone was working hard, and yes, it was all up in the air. Yeah, so I think there was a lot of good intentions. A lot of people there, with really good intentions, trying to do the right thing, but there was no management. There was nobody to guide them along the path. It was probably a fucking shit show. Yeah,
it's a shame, really, because I don't know. I mean, I think also that I don't know how something like that could have turned into a proper media or proper news kind of setup, really. I just don't know how anything could, because I mean, all right. It just the more I think about it, and I don't want to sound like I'm dismissing David Icke, but the trouble is, right? The trouble is that how can someone who thinks that the run is whirled by shape-shifting reptiles, I mean, I do think that Alex Jones was right and shouldn't have apologized for his turd in the punch bowl comment, right? Because I think that spoils everything. And and also all the old David Icke talks that he's done, there's so much flawed pseudoscience in a lot of what he said. And I don't know. I mean, I think that what happened to him, he worked out how very early on how to monetize his madness, right? So there's a part of him that I think is very sane. But the trouble is that when you start playing that character, it's very difficult to not play that character anymore because it's your bread and butter. And that's what I think David Icke is nowadays.
I don't entirely agree or disagree with what you just said, because I do like David Icke, and
he's all right.
And I think he's said a lot of stuff which makes a lot of sense, but he's also said a lot of stuff which is a bit mental.
Yeah.
So it's hard to kind of get a solid vibe on him, but I don't think he's doing it out of ill will or I'm gonna make a nice little earner here with this. No, I don't think it's anything like that. I don't.
Yeah. No, I don't. I don't
Yeah,
think that he's malevolent or malicious or evil or anything like that. I think he's well-meaning, you know.
yeah, I would agree. I
So,
would agree.
yeah.
Well, now we're rapidly approaching the end of our time together, so why don't you
Oh.
tell everyone all about yourself and how they can get to your channel and where they can see you almost day. Are you still doing daily videos, or is that slowed
Um,
down a bit?
no, slow down a bit. I think I'm sort of trying to do twice weekly, once
Uh-huh.
or twice weekly at the moment. I'm a bit kind of busy too because I think that I'm getting ready to get away from here.
Right, you're
So
going to be moving, yeah.
yeah. So but yeah, I mean, how do I tell people where to go? Yes, I would say I just need to remember what my channel is. Hold on. I'm just going to open up my show notes blurb file because then I can get
Isn't
more
it through an
specific.
opaque lens with Nyle Murphy?
It's through an opaque lens, yeah. But I want to get the actual
The URL,
URL. So
okay.
yeah, so you can go. It's basically youtube.com/small letter c/ Mr. Opaque Lens, all one word,
There you go.
and that's MROPAQUELENS. So yeah, just yeah, youtube.com/c/Mr. Opaque Lens. That will take you directly to my channel. Yeah,
There you go, man. Thank you
yeah.
so much for coming on today. It's always a pleasure to talk to you,
Oh,
and
cool.
it's been a
Yeah.
blast. And hopefully, you've enjoyed this first experience with live streaming. And
Yeah, it's been good. It's a lot easier than I thought, and I can actually see the preview of what it looks like, which is
yeah,
good. I didn't think it was going to look so slick,
it
so
looks
that's
pretty
good.
good, huh?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
let's do it again sometime, dude. I really
Yeah.
appreciate it. Thank you so much, Nal. Take it easy,
All right,
man. Have a
sound
great have
Gary.
a great day and a great week, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, yep. Cheers, and see you later.
Okay,
Have a
bye
good
bye.
one. All right, bye. Right.
There you go. And Nile goes off into the ether. Let's see what's going on in the chat. I'll go through the chat real quick before we start wrapping this up. But I should remind everyone, you know what to do. Come on, do it. Hit the button.
Do it now. Immediately.
Yeah, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Please consider subscribing to the Mindset Central channel. Really appreciate it. Give us some thumbs up, hit the bell, all that good stuff. Be notified when we do our next live stream, which will be, let me think, tomorrow. And we're up to 23 likes. Can we make it to 25 at least? Can we get 2 more likes? Can two people in the watching us take 3 seconds out of your incredibly busy day and go like this? It's really that simple. Just 2. Give me 2. Come on, 1 more. Come on. Come on. Let's go through some of the chats because the chat has been going strong, and I've missed some of them. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, Flower came back. Flower said, "Sorry, I found it hard to watch, and the anti-woke shtick is tiresome. I'm gonna have to check out this GB News. I'm completely unfamiliar with it. Like I said to Niall, up until he mentioned it, I had no clue the thing even existed. So I'm gonna have to look into it and have a look, and watch some of the shows and see what the deal is." Let's see. Anthony Nicholas give another. Too many cooks spoil the broth. There you go. That's another good one. Let's see. We get some dirt. David got effed up by a close friend who was working on the show. Wasn't his fault. No, I never thought that it was purely Ike's fault. I think Ike had the best of intentions and really wanted it to succeed. But it was all over the place. There was no real, they didn't have a guiding force. They didn't have somebody who was guiding them who knew what to do. You know what I mean? It was all over the place. But yeah, I don't know. But I wish it had worked also, because the idea and the premise behind the channel was a good one. But unfortunately, it failed completely. All right, let's start wrapping it up. I want to thank all of you for coming by today and watching the stream. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you enjoyed listening to Nyle. Check out Nyle's channel. Go subscribe. Mr. Opaque Lens. I'm sure you can find it by typing in Opaque Lens or Nyle Murphy, and you'll find his channel. He has lots and lots of videos. Like he said, he publishes twice a week, where he goes out and about with his camera and talks about, you know, all manner of things, very similar to the conversation we had. So well worth checking out if you get a chance. I will be back tomorrow morning, same time, same bad channel, at 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is 2 p.m. UK time, and then all points in between. So figure it out. Come on by. If you subscribe and you hit the bell icon, you will get notified of future upcoming live streams. Tomorrow, Mr. Ben Emlyn Jones will be back. So if you're a Ben fan, be sure to tune in tomorrow and watch myself and Ben chat about all kinds of craziness and wondrous conspiracies, paranormal, UFOs, you name it. That's what Ben's all about. It's always great to talk to him about it. All right, guys, I'm going to call it a day, but thank you so much for watching. If you're just beginning your day, have a great day. Have an awesome Monday. If your day's mid-afternoon, early evening, have an awesome evening. Try and relax, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Have a great night, great day. See you in the morning. Beseño.